Okay, let's continue. If the Earth was round, the eclipse could not be seen in Africa and Asia at the same time. Whereas on the flat Earth theory, the phenomena is simple. Get out your globe and experiment. It is a fact determined by experiment that gravity exerts less force the farther away we get from the North Pole. Arctic explorers tell us that they can hardly lift 100 pounds up north, while Antarctic explorers say they can lift 300 and 400 pounds with ease. The soundings taken by Nansen shows that the North Polar Sea is very deep, 10 to 14,000 feet. Captain Ross states in his Antarctic explorations that he found soundings from 400 to 1,000 feet. Quite a difference. If the Earth was round like a globe and revolving at the rate of, I can't really read that, maybe, I don't know what that says, something miles per hour, 24,000 miles in circumference, turning once in 24 hours. Okay. Such speed would tear everything off the surface. Or if the attraction of gravitation overbalanced this phenomena, then if the Earth was round, all a person need to do to go from New York to Chicago, 1,000 miles, would be to go up in a balloon, stay there for 1 hour, and come down to Chicago. Or stay up 3 hours and come down in San Francisco. The Earth being flat and floating quietly in space, the air currents move in different directions and clouds float like a balloon in any direction with the air currents. The Earth floats in space, but surely does not tear about at the rate of 1,000 miles an hour, or it would burn up by friction. It is the rapidity with which sun moves that give it its great heat and light. Take as an instance the Erie Canal between Lockport and Rochester, a distance of 60 miles. According to the globular theory, there would be a curvature of over 640 feet, the center being 2,562 feet higher than either end, whereas the actual fall, according to the state engineer's report, is less than 3 feet. Dang! The Suez Canal, which has a 100-mile level, a description of which can be found in the Encyclopedia Britannica, is another example. This canal is a simple connection of the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea and is without locks for the entire distance. From the natural curvature of the Earth as a globe, there should be a fall of about 1,666 feet, the center being 6,666 feet higher than either end, whereas the average level of the Mediterranean Sea is about 6 inches above the average level of the Red Sea. In standing on the shore of the ocean, a vessel apparently goes from the horizon so that only the masts are visible. But if sighted with a powerful glass, the whole again comes into full view. Would this occur if the water was curved? In standing between the rails and looking ahead on a level stretch of road at the distance of about a mile, the rails apparently come together. Is this accounted for on the same theory as the ship again coming into view when it had apparently gone below the horizon? We are taught that the Earth is a huge magnet and that it is this magnetism which causes the needle of the compass to be attracted to the North Pole. If the Earth is a globe, the needle should reverse in going south of the equator and point to the South Pole. This ought to be proof positive that the Earth is a disk, in that the needle always points to the center regardless of the location of the compass. Also that the greatest circumference is below the equator and the least at the North Pole. If the Earth were a globe, the Mississippi River would be certainly run uphill, as its source is lower than its outlet. According to the globular theory, the equatorial radius of the Earth is 13 miles greater than the polar radius, hence a point at the equator is 13 miles farther from the Earth's center than a point at either pole. The Mississippi River rises in latitude 50 degrees, flows directly toward the equator a distance of 30 degrees, or one-third the distance from the equator to the pole, hence its outlet is 4 1/2 miles farther from the center of the Earth than its source. After deducting one-third of a mile that its source is above sea level, does water run uphill? Here is another fact, easily determined, that the greatest gravity is at the North Pole and exerts less and less force as we go south. If gravity was the cause of the fall of the water, then one wonder why the waters of the oceans did not rush to the pole. Here is the proof of the disk centrifugal force, caused by the rapid rotation of the Earth, holds the water in place, notwithstanding the force of gravity. The centrifugal force is being exhausted, is maintaining the sea level. The flow of water anywhere above sea level is causes by gravity only. If the Earth is globular, the North Star should not be seen south of the equator, while in fact it can be seen 30 degrees south of that line. If the Earth is round, there should be a period of 3 months day and 3 months night at the Antarctic as well as the Arctic Circle, whereas according to the Nautical Almanac published by the Bureau of Navigation at Washington, the longest continued day at South Shetland Island, 70 degrees south, is 19 hours 53 minutes. Hammerfest, Norway, 70 degrees north. The longest continued day is 3 months. If the Earth were round, a degree of longitude would cover the same number of miles at 50 degrees south latitude, and it would at 50 degrees north latitude, whereas the distance between the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Horn, while being about the same number of degrees apart as London and New York, the actual number of miles sailed, or actual time taken in making the distance, is more than twice as much between the Cape of Good Hope and Cape Horn as it is between London and New York. If the Earth were round, it would positively make no difference in the effect produced by sound either at the Arctic or Antarctic regions. The facts are that the report of a pistol sounds like a cannon at the Antarctic Circle, and the falling of an iceberg produces the most terrible crash that man ever heard. This is not so in northern regions. Captain Hall says the report of a gun could scarcely be heard 20 feet away. Captain Willis says of his trip around the Antarctic Circle that it is impossible to see with the naked eye more than 40 miles. Arctic explorers claim to be able to see with the naked eye from 150 to 200 miles. In Harper's Weekly for October 20th, 1894, is an account of a government expedition, members of the Signal Corps, United States Army, who flashed a message by heliograph or highly polished mirrors between Mount Uncompahgre, Colorado, elevation 14,418 feet, to Mount Ellen, Utah, 11,410 feet, a distance of 183 miles. If the Earth was round, this would have been an impossibility. Alright, video is going to end, guys. I don't think the Earth floats in space.